Okay. Hello to anybody that happened to be around this long. I know my live started out with dead air, background noise, interruptions by my fur babies, etc. But I'm going to now get on with the show. So just give me a minute. Let me close my bedroom door so there is no more interruptions. And we will start with the creepy stories. Okay, so these are called 13 terrifying but true horror stories reported in the news. And so I just want you to keep in mind that these are stories that I am finding, that I am reading to you all. I have not done any research to verify on whether or not these things really happened or not. However, they are very interesting. So, all right. So just a little preclude. Is that how you say that? Horror movies can give a fright, but so can a good ghost story. Suspense is all about timing and gullibility, and if you can pull off both, you've got a hit. But what happens when the lines between fact and fiction start to blur? You often hear stories of people claiming that they've seen ghosts, aliens, and or other supernatural beings. If you turned on the local news, you've definitely heard about a grisly murder or two. Sometimes it's a story even Stephen King couldn't dream of coming up with himself. That's when you start trusting in the strange. Once in a while, a story of a dreadful disappearance, demonic possession, or town full of devil worshippers will land in the local paper. Whether it's real or fiction, we've often never find out. Maybe they're crazy, but maybe they're right. You be the judge. Below, we have rounded up the most unnerving real life news tales below. In honor of spooky season, here are 13 we can't stop thinking about. Now, I am aware that Halloween is over with and all this other stuff, but oddly enough, I have found this YouTube channel called Let's Read, and it is a channel that I actually find myself falling asleep to pretty often listening to their stories. So, this is where I got the idea where I was like, even if no one shows up live and chimes in or whatever, perhaps this is something that they can listen to when they're ready to try to fall asleep or take a nap or just even relax because yeah, there's weirdos like me out there and we listen to things like that. So in the chat, I put the link for the channel that I have found. It's a podcast. And again, like I said, I fall asleep to this. So hence this idea was born. Okay, so the first one is called The Infield Monster. In 1973, a man in Enfield, Illinois told reporters that he saw a weird little creature lurking in his yard. Per the Mount Vernon Register News, resident Henry McDaniel stated it had 3 legs on it, a short body, 2 little short arms, and 2 pink eyes as big as flashlights. The police later found scratches on the door screen and footprints that looked like a dog's but with six toes. If they do find it, McDaniel said in the newspaper, they will find more than one and they won't be from this planet. I can tell you that. To this day, no explanation has ever been found. So there you go. That one is called the infield monster. I will drop it in the chat for anybody watching on replay who wants to look more into this. This is how it's spelled. It's called the infield monster. So, story number 2. And this website has 13. I'm only going to do like 5. And then I'll do more later. So, this one is called the Suicide Hotel. And forgive me if I mispronounce any words. I am trying my best. So this is the oh, I hate that word on YouTube. You got to be very careful. But I've already said it once, so go back if you didn't hear. But in Colombia, the Hotel del Salto has more stories as one of the most haunted places on earth, more than it does actual tenants. Turned into a museum, the hotel was designed by design. Okay, so that was a typo, my bad. Turned into a museum, the hotel was designed by architect Carlos Arturo Tapias back in 1923, overlooking the Taquindama Falls. The views were said to be spectacular, but guests kept getting a little too close to the falls. Translated to Hotel of the Leap, the Hotel del Salto is full of stories of people leaping to their deaths. According to local legend, the indigenous Muisca tribe escaped from Spanish colonizers by leaping off the cliffs some centuries before. So that is insane. That is a whole hotel that has these stunning, spectacular views of the falls in Colombia, and yet it's full of stories of people leaping to their deaths. So that's. Mm, I thought this next one was very interesting, and if it was close to me, I probably would visit it. Honestly, you can spend the night there, and I thought it was pretty interesting. Okay, so this one's called the Axe Murder House. The Villisca Axe Murder House in Villisca, Iowa, is a well known tourist attraction for ghost hunters and horror lovers alike. The site of a gruesome, unsolved 1912 murder in which 6 children and 2 adults had their skulls completely crushed by the axe of an unknown perpetrator was purchased in 1994, restored to its 1912 condition, and converted into a tourist destination. It cost $428 a night to stay at the old haunted home, where visitors always report strange paranormal experiences, such as visions of a man with an axe roaming the halls or the faint screams of children. Reading it again, I'm like, I don't know. But in November of 2014, the haunting took a darker turn. Robert Stephen Lawrenson Jr., 37, of Rhinelander, Wisconsin, was on a regular recreational paranormal visit with friends when true horror struck. Per Vice, which is the news source, his companions found him stabbed in the chest, an apparently self inflicted wound, called 911, and Larson was brought to a nearby hospital before being helicoptered to Creighton University Medical Center in Omaha. The Montgomery County Sheriff's Office said Larson suffered the self-inflicted injury at about 12:45 a.m., which is around the same time the 1912 axe murders in the house began. Larson recovered from his injuries but has never spoken publicly about what occurred that day. For Martha Lynn, the owner of the home, the incident was very upsetting. It's publicity, but it's not exactly the kind of publicity you desire to have. I don't want people thinking that when they come to the Villisca Axe murder house, something's going to happen that's going to make them do something like that. The house remains open for tourist visits and overnight stays today. So that was very disturbing too. And that's called the Axe Murder House. and it is in. Sorry, I'm trying to type at the same time. Villisca, Iowa. So, all right. So on to one, two, three. So now we're on to number four. The haunted doll. 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 When you think of haunted dolls, it's likely the creepy old Victorian looking porcelain kind that springs to mind. None of which you probably have laying around. Still, don't get too comfortable around any kids' toys too soon, though. A Disney's Frozen Elsa doll that was gifted for Christmas 2013 in the Houston area made headlines earlier this year when it seemingly became haunted. According to KPRC2 Houston News, the doll recited phrases from the movie Frozen and sang Let It Go when a button on its necklace was pressed. For 2 years, it did that in English, Mother Emily Madonia said. In 2015, it started doing it alternating between Spanish and English. There wasn't a button that changed these, it was just random. The family has owned the doll for more than 6 years and never changed its batteries. The mother says the doll would randomly begin to speak and sing even when its switch was turned off. The family decided to throw the creepy doll out in December of 2019. Weeks later, they found it inside a bench in their living room. The kids insisted they didn't put it there, and I believe them because they wouldn't have dug through the garbage outside, said the mother. At that point, Elsa ceased to sing the English rendition of Let It Go altogether, speaking only Spanish when pressed. The family then double bagged the bizarre doll and placed it at the bottom of their garbage, which was taken out on garbage day. They went on a trip shortly after, but when they returned, Elsa too had come back and was waiting in the backyard of their home. This time, the family mailed Elsa to a family friend in Minnesota who taped the haunted doll to the front bumper of his truck. Wow. It doesn't seem to have made its way back to Houston yet, as per Madonia's latest February Facebook update on the creepy doll. That was unexpected, and that's really weird. Okay. One, two, three, four. Okay, so here's the last story of the day, and then I will let you guys go. Um, this is a little iffy for me because I don't believe in exorcisms. I don't mess with anything exorcism. I won't watch them, and this is very odd for me to even read it. But if there are things such as demons being cast out of other people, I do believe in that. And I guess if that's called an exorcism, then yeah. But the Exorcist movie ruined me when I was 8 years old, so it's kind of a trigger for me. But this one's called A Deadly Exorcism. In August of 2016 in North London, 26-year-old Kennedy Ife began acting strange and aggressive following a pain in his throat. He reportedly bit his father, threatened to cut off his own genitalia, and complained of a python or snake inside of him before his family restrained him to a bed with cable ties and excessive force. Okay, yeah, that's already disturbing because why not just go and get him some help? As the BBC reported, again, this is in North London, the family then set about attempting to cure, quote unquote, Kennedy through restraint and prayer over the next 3 days, the court was told. His brother, Colin Ife, told police it's clear that thing was in him, what we believed was a demon, because it was not natural. It was clearly trying to kill him, he said. We had to restrain him for himself. It was clear if we didn't restrain him, he could have tried to harm people in our family. Kennedy Ive had been bound to his bed for 3 days without medical attention when his brother called emergency services, explaining that Kennedy Ive was complaining of dehydration. He appeared to have developed breathing issues and was pronounced dead at 10:17 a.m. Oh boy. As the Independent reported, while police were at the house, Colin Ive allegedly carried out an attempted resurrection, by chanting and praying for Mr. Ive. All seven of Kennedy Ives' family members were accused of manslaughter, false imprisonment, and causing or allowing the death of a vulnerable adult. A post mortem examination revealed over 60 wounds, including a possible bite on Kennedy Ives' body, and his father, Kenneth Ive, along with four of his brothers, sustained injuries as well. The BBC reported Kenneth Ive told jurors he ordered his sons to take shifts and use overwhelming force, but denied that an association with cults, occults, and secret societies played any part in the death. After a 4-day jury deliberation, all seven family members were cleared of charges on March 14th of 2019. Wow. Okay, that was weird. That's a really weird exorcism type thing. Hey Nicole, good to see you here and listening. I'm glad that you're here. I'm enjoying this quiet time, so I think I'm gonna read one or two more. We shall see. Okay, so this one is called Dead Animals in the Walls. That sounds creepy. Excuse me. So this one says when the Bredzui family, I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm just gonna say the Bredzui family, decided to insulate their home in Auburn, Pennsylvania in 2015, they discovered that it had already been with scores of dead animal carcasses. Ew, so they went to insulate their home and discovered that it had already been insulated with dead animals. As Fox reported, the dead animals were wrapped in newspapers from the 1930s and 40s and were among half used spices and other items. After removing the items, they sent hundreds of artifacts and carcasses to an expert in Kutztown. The expert attributed the rotting animals in their walls to powwow or Dutch magic, a ritual originating in the culture of the Pennsylvania Dutch to treat ailments and gain physical and spiritual protection. The Pennsylvania Dutch were a group of German speaking settlers to Pennsylvania in the 16 and 1700s and are often of Lutheran, Mennonite, or Amish faiths. See, that's interesting. I like stories like this because there's like a whole different aspect to it where it's like this, this religion. It surrounds like these three groups of different religions, and the culture they believed it was made for like treating ailments and gaining physical and spiritual protection. I honestly think this kind of thing is interesting. It's weird, but it's interesting. So the Washington Post notes on the magic. Many of the spells deal with the care of livestock, finding water, or the treatment of minor ailments, reflecting the conditions and concerns of early American settlers. But powwow also has within it a tradition of darker spells and even of such things as conjuring demons. Yeah, not today, Satan. Not today. I'm good with that part. One notable ritual in their tradition is this hex to create loyalty in a dog. To attach a dog to a person, provided nothing else was used before to affect it. Try to draw some of your blood and let the dog eat it along with his food, and he will stay with you. Again, this is something I am reading. This is not anything I'm telling anyone to go out and do. This is simply a creepy website with real true horror stories that were reported in the news. I do not condone or advise any of you to do any of these things in these stories because that's just weird. But this is the website that I'm getting all of this from, just in case anyone is interested. The mold found on the rotting carcasses in the Bredzui home has caused illness among the family members, and they say that the odor hasn't gone away. Oh, that's so weird. Okay. Florida devil worshipping. Oh, this stuff is just really strange and dark, y'all. Friends noticed that Danielle Harkins, a 35-year-old school teacher near St. Petersburg, Florida, started acting strangely in June of 2012, developing an interest in demonic rituals. Soon after, she was arrested for abuse of seven of her former students, as the Tampa Bay Times reported. This is the following article. Danielle Harkins told the kids they needed to rid their bodies of demons as the group gathered before dusk on Saturday around a small fire near the St. Petersburg Pier. They should cut their skin to let the evil spirits out, police said she told the children. Then they needed to burn the wounds to ensure that those spirits would not return. And I'm going to put a trigger warning in chat real quick. When Harkins held a lighter to one teen's hand, wind blew the flame out, police said. That prompted her to douse his hand in perfume before setting it on fire. The boy suffered second-degree burns, police said. Another teen was cut on the neck with a broken bottle, police said. Harkins used the flame to heat a small key, which she then used to cauterize the wound. So this teacher was definitely not okay. The police were notified because a friend of one of the students who participated in the ritual raised alarms. However, none of the students themselves told their parents about the event or would comment following the arrest of Harkins for aggravated battery and child abuse. NBC reported that investigators said they've spoken to Harkins, but she didn't spell out what type of religion would require such drastic measures. She hasn't informed us exactly what she was trying to accomplish with this, the police department said. So, what in the heck was she even doing? Is my question. Oh my goodness. Yes, Nicole, for sure. It's very unsettling, and but at the end of the day, I know God wins, so it's like it's whatever. I don't care. I just don't like to talk about him. He doesn't need to be talked about, but okay, the death of Eliza Lamb. Did I read this one already? Okay. So Eliza Lamb was last seen on January 31st of 2013 in the lobby of the Cecil Hotel in downtown Los Angeles. She was vacationing through the West Coast, documenting the trip on her blog and checking in with her parents every day. On January 31st, those calls stopped. Lamb had vanished. Soon the police were involved and her parents arrived to help with the search. They had nothing. That February, LAPD released elevator surveillance footage of Lamb before her disappearance. The footage shows Lamb behaving strangely in the elevator, appearing to talk with invisible people, peering around the corner of the door, crouching in the corner, and opening and closing the door. But what exactly is going on in this video raises more questions than answers. Theories range from psychotic episodes to demonic possession to unknown assailants just out of the camera's view. I'm going to present this real quick just to show, because this, hey mom first, this actually shows a view, I guess, of what the surveillance was. We're going to watch this real quick. And this elevator reminds me of the same one on the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial. Just saying. So there's no audio, and they're just showing the last surveillance. Like, it just appears normal to me right now. She's wondering why maybe the door is not closing. That's a little weird. I don't understand why she don't just press like the close the elevator button. It's almost like she hears things or something. I don't know. It's a little weird. What in the world? Okay, that was like a whole military stance thing. That's so strange. Why doesn't the elevator door close? Is my question. You know this one, Nicole? Wow. I think maybe took a drug like spicy. Oh, what the heck is spicy? Yeah, about the teacher for sure. Wow. Okay. So again, this is on the site that I did just drop. If y'all want to watch it in full, but I'll go ahead and read a little bit more. So around that time, hotel guests started reporting weird things happening with the Cecil Hotel water supply. As CNN reports, the shower was awful, said Sabina Bao, who spent 8 days there during the investigation. When he turned the tap on, the water was coming black first for 2 seconds, and then it was going back to normal. The tap water tasted horrible, Bao said. It had a very funny, sweety, disgusting taste. It's a very strange taste. I can barely describe it. But for a week, they never complained. We never thought anything of it. We thought it was just the way it was here. On the morning of February 19th, a hotel employee climbed to the roof and used a ladder to investigate the hotel's water storage tanks. That's where authorities found the decomposing, naked body of Lamb, whose personal items were found nearby. After an autopsy, her death was labeled accidental. How? What? Okay, NBC Los Angeles reported at the time about the strange circumstances in the hotel's past. The tank has a metal latch that can be opened, but authorities said access to the roof is secured with an alarm and lock. The single room occupancy hotel has an unusual history. Night Stalker Richard Ramirez, who was found guilty of 14 slayings in the 1980s, lived on the 14th floor for several months in 1985. An international serial killer, Jack Unterweger, is suspected of murdering three prostitutes during the time he lived there in 91. He killed himself in jail in 94. In 1962, a female occupant jumped out of one of the hotel's windows, killing herself and a pedestrian on whom she landed. So it says here that in February of 2021, a Netflix documentary called Crime Scene: The Vanishing at the Cecil Hotel explored Eliza's tragic case and the history of the cursed Cecil Hotel. That's interesting indeed. Certain drugs can make you cuckoo like bathing salts or spicy. I changed the words for chat. Oh, I got you. I got you. Yeah, that's really weird. Right? But they were drinking the water, and that's why it tasted weird. She was in the freaking water storage tanks. But okay, I'm sorry. Number one, I don't drink tap water from anywhere, not even from home. Tap water is just disgusting. Like, you need a filter for that. So, why would you even try to drink any kind of tap water? And to know that they were drinking it from that is disgusting. Yeah, she was in the water tower. But yeah, that's so gross. That one's interesting though. I might have to find that one and watch it. Okay. Let's see. I have nothing better to do, so I'm gonna go ahead and read this one. An exorcism in Indianapolis. So last year, the Indianapolis Star published a lengthy report on a family terrorized by three children allegedly possessed by demons. The account of Latoya Ammons and her family tells disturbing stories of children climbing up the walls, getting thrown across rooms, and children threatening doctors in deep, unnatural voices. It would seem like something straight out of a movie, a work of fantasy, except all of these accounts were more or less corroborated with nearly 800 pages of official records obtained by the Indianapolis Star and recounted in more than a dozen interviews with police, DCS personnel, psychologists, family members, and a Catholic priest. One of the more chilling sections of the report includes a segment about the possessed 9-year old. According to Washington's original DCS report, An account corroborated by Walker, the nurse, the 9-year old had a weird grin and walked backward up a wall to the ceiling. He then flipped over Campbell, landing on his feet. He never let go of his grandmother's hand. Another segment of the piece reads: the 12-year-old would later tell mental health professionals that she sometimes felt as if she were being choked and held down so she couldn't speak or move. She said she heard a voice say she'd never see her family again and wouldn't live another 20 minutes. All right, sorry about that. I had a phone call real quick. Okay, let me finish reading this. But that is weird, really, really weird. I can't imagine a child walking backwards up a wall to the ceiling. No. Okay, so the 12-year-old would later tell mental health professionals that she sometimes felt as if she were being choked and held down so she couldn't speak or move. She said she heard a voice say she'd never see her family again and wouldn't live another 20 minutes. That's creepy. Hold on, I'm sending a text. Okay, I don't know what this is. Let me see. Oh, it's a private video. Okay, I thought I was going to be able to watch something, but we can't. Okay, and the last one is going to be called the Utah Murder Unaliving of Self. Let's see. In September of 2014, a Utah teen returned to his home to find his parents and 3 siblings dead. In a notebook, a to do list had been scribbled on the pages. The list looked as if the parents were readying to go on vacation. Items such as feed the pets and find someone to watch after the house were written, the Salt Lake Tribune reported. It appeared to be murder unaliving, but there was no note, no prior indication that they would do this, no explanation. Police could not figure out why 2 parents would unalive themselves and 3 of their 4 children. For a year, no one knew exactly what happened to the family or what would drive the parents to do something so unthinkable. In January, police released more chilling details in the case. According to accounts from family members and an investigation by police, the parents were driven by a belief that the apocalypse was coming and an obsession with a convicted killer. As the Washington Post reported, friends and family told police that the parents were worried about the evil in the world and wanted to escape a pending apocalypse, but most assumed they just wanted to move somewhere off the grid. Investigators also found letters written by Christy Strack to one of the state's most infamous convicted killers, Dan Lafferty, who was convicted in the 84 fatal stabbing of his sister in law and her 1-year-old daughter. According to trial testimony, he killed the victims at the order of his brother, Ron Lafferty, who claimed to have had a revelation from God. The story became a book called Under the Banner of Heaven. Police said Christy Strack became friends with Dan Lafferty, and she and her husband even visited him in prison. So, how do we not know that this guy convinced them to do what they did? Because that is really freaking horrible. And that doesn't just happen. So, for them to not have any explanation, yeah, I don't know about that. But I'm going to go ahead and end it here. I hope that some of you can watch this on replay. And even though weirdly and oddly enough, some of these stories actually help me sleep, I hope that if anything, they, get your interest and you can go look up more details of some of these stories. That's why I really enjoy reading them and coming across them because, it gets your mind going and it gets you going in different directions and going down rabbit holes. But, hey, whenever you need something to do or something So keep your mind occupied. Here you go. So even though not many showed up, I appreciate each and every one of you that are watching on replay. The ones who did show up, you are amazing, and I thank you so much for that. Sending you lots of love and light to everyone, and I will see you around the YouTube streets. And I didn't play this on my way in, but I'm gonna play it now. All right, y'all have a good night.